In the first question, we're asked to estimate the product of 24 times 38. For me, the closest numbers I'd be thinking of might be 25 times 40. I know that multiplying 25 times 4 is fairly straightforward. 25 cents, you got 4 of them, you've got $1. So 4 times 25 is 100. And if I'm doing 40 times 25, that means I'm coming up to 1,000. So that would be my estimate. I know that it's going to be a little bit smaller than that. And I also know that if I went the other way, that if I did 20 times 40, that's going to be about 800. So I'm probably looking for a number that's somewhere in between that range. Now we're asked to create a base 10 block rectangle model and sketch the model. So there are a couple examples of how to do it here. So to come up with my 24 times 38, I've got 24, and across the top is the 38. I can then go ahead and multiply the 30 times the 20 and get 600. Multiply the 8 times 20 and I get 160. Multiply 8 times 4 and I get 32. And multiply 30 times 4 and I get 120. We're asked to figure out the area to calculate the product. Once I've got those numbers, I just need to add them up. So the area is equal to 600 plus 160 plus 120 plus 32, which is 600 plus 160 is 760 plus 120 is 880 plus 32 is 912. And I look back to my estimate here where I thought it should be between 800 and 1,000, and it looks like my calculation is correct. Another question, we're asked to estimate 16 by 47. For that one, I'm probably going to look at 15 times 50. To do 15 times 50, that's the same as saying 10 times 50 plus 5 times 50. Because I'm taking 15 can be broken out to be 10 plus 5. So I've got the 10 and the 5, and they're both being multiplied by 50. So 10 times 50 is 500. 5 times 50 is 250. Adding them together, I come up with an estimate then of 750. Now we're asked to create a base 10 block model and sketch the models. Again, we've used both approaches here to show what it can look like. Now we're asked to figure out the area to calculate the product. So for the first model, I can just add up all the values. 400 plus 70 plus 240 plus 42. So I've got 400 plus 240 is 640 plus 70 is 710 plus 42 equals 752. And we check our estimate against our actual answer, and we had estimated 750, and our actual answer was 752. So our estimate was a good estimate, and it shows that our final answer is reasonable based on what we had estimated. One more practice, 34 times 41. So we're asked to estimate. I'm going to estimate that as maybe 35 times 40, so I'll round things off a bit. And to do that, I think I would take a look at the 35 and the 4. I know that 40 is 2 times 2 times 10. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 35 and multiply it times 2, which I can do in my head. I know that's 70. And I know that it's easy to then multiply to 70 times 2, which gives me 140. And then I'm going to multiply that times 10, and I'm at an estimate of 1,400. Again, we're going to make our base 10 block models and sketch the models. I've used both approaches again. And now we're going to calculate the area to figure out what the product is. So I've got 1,200 plus 160 plus 30 plus 4. I've got 1,200 plus 160 makes 1,360 plus another 30 is 1,390 plus 4 is 1,394. And finally, we want to check our estimate against our final answer. We had estimated 1,400, and our final answer is 1,394. So again, our estimate gives us confidence that our final number is in the right ballpark. To create a rectangle model, you use the most hundreds blocks and the fewest ones blocks you can. Predict the number of hundreds and ones blocks you would use to model each calculation and explain your predictions. So if I'm looking for the tens blocks in the first question, and then I also want the ones blocks, I multiply the 4 times the 7, and I say that there are going to be 28 tens blocks. And then for the ones, I'm going to multiply the 7 times the 4, and coincidentally, we end up with the same number of ones blocks. For 38 times 4, multiplying the 3 times the 4, which tells us that there will be 12 tens blocks. And for the ones, we've got 8 times 1, which is 8. Next one, 5 times 4 gives us 20. So there are 20 tens blocks. And there are 2 times 8, or 16 ones blocks. Final question, got 4 times 5. Again, we have 20 tens blocks. And 3 times 9, or 27 ones blocks. Now this is a multiple choice question. They've asked, how would you change this model to show 42 by 53? So the first question we want to ask is, well, what is it showing right now? And what it's showing us right now is across the top we've got 4 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. So what we've really got there right now is 43 across the top. And what do we have down the side? We've got 4 tens blocks again and a single 1 block. So the first option is to add a column of 4 hundreds blocks and 1 tens block. So we're adding a column. They're saying add 4. So by doing that, we've now got 53 across the top. So that gives us what we want. But down the side, we still just have 41. So we're not to where we want to be yet with 42. So then option B says add a row of 4 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. So let's see what they're suggesting we do there. They're saying to add another row of 4 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. Well, what that's giving us then is it's now giving us 51 on the side, and we still have 43 across the top, or across the bottom. So that's not what we want either. Option C says we could add a column of 4 hundreds blocks and 1 tens blocks, and then add a row of 4 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. So that's saying that we want to add a column of 4 hundreds blocks and 1 tens block, and then add a row of 4 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. So that doesn't kind of make sense because they're only adding 4 up there. So that doesn't really make sense because we've got a gap over here. So we wouldn't be doing that either. So I'm hoping the final option is the correct one. It says to add a column of 4 hundreds blocks and 1 tens blocks, and then add a row of 5 tens blocks and 3 ones blocks. So let's see if that pans out. So add a column of 4 hundreds. Okay, so we're going to add the column again. Got the 4 hundreds blocks and 1 tens blocks. Then it's saying to add a row of 5 tens blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 ones blocks. 1, 2, 3. That then gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 50 plus the 3. And down the side, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tens blocks or hundreds blocks plus the 2 at the bottom. So we end up with a 42 by a 53 model.